Oh, look at that! That's going to be a picture. Good evening, guys and girls, and welcome back to the Racing Line for the Volkswagen Jetta Cup, powered by GT Omega here on the Racing Line YouTube and Twitch. Commentary by myself, Jack Johns. Welcome back for round 2 of 7 races, 3 and 4 of Season 4 2023. It's good to see people in chat already. Duncan Murray's in chat, said he's only watching the first heat, probably because he's going to lose electricity, or he's being told to go to bed by his wife. Jerry Agard in chat saying let's go. Jerry Agard returning on round 2. He missed round 1 and it's good to see him back. He's going to be back on track in today's stream at Summit Point Raceway. It's one of those circuits that we've been to before. It's a free circuit. Masters of Talk for the win, says Jerry Agard. Stephen King is in chat, basically saying hello, I guess. But yeah, Summit Point Raceway, a track that we have been to before. In fact, can I get up a cheeky... Let me just go on theracingline.org. Actually, do you know what? I'm not going to go on theracingline.org, but because I remember the one stat that I always repeat about Summit Point Raceway, and that is Martin Wallace from ZFG, who is on the grid this season, has one pole position to his name, and it is at this track, Summit Point Raceway. It's obviously thrown up a few other memoirs, a few memories. We think back to Season 1, Jake Cranston and Stephen King coming together in the final turn, with Stephen King hitting the one tyre stack on the exit, and then he was stuck and he loses the win, and it turned the whole season around. Such a simple track, says Stephen, but continually gives massive incidents. Correct. Win it or bin it pole Season 1. Win it or bin it pole Season 1. Who got pole in Season 1? Was it Martin Wallace? Was he driving for them at that point? Before he left for ZFG? Says Mad John 88. Jerry Agard saying cheers from Nürburgring. Oh yes, Jerry Agard is currently at the actual Nürburgring. The real one. The actual one, not the virtual one that you have to pay $30 for because they split it up into 2 purchases. He is at the real one with Stephen Burns, I believe, in Send It or Bend It, and Sebastian Holmichael for Meatball Motorsport. Didn't Jerry mount the pit wall too? He replies, mounted your mum. Mad John says, yeah, before we sacked Martin Wallace. You didn't sack him, he left. We've had a few leaves. I love seeing driver swaps. It's amazing how this virtual racing series throws up actual driver moves. Win it or bin it moved on to bigger things, says Stephen King, and they've got a hell of a lineup. If I just cut to, we are in practice right now. Obviously, we're not going to watch the full practice. Oh, I need to turn that off. Did you see that? I have left radio on and no more. Then we cannot, as much as it might make for an interesting stream, I do not know what is said in these races, and I don't want to know today. Speaking of Stephen Burns, who's at the Nürburgring with Jerry Agard, there he is in the Scottish Send It and Bend It machine, chasing down one of the Viking Raiders cars. He is currently showing as 4th, but I think this timing screen might have messed up a little bit as it's a replay, but obviously qualifying in the race then turns into sort of more realistic. Am I trying to change here? We just show best lap time. That will show how broken this is. Yeah, so Greg Otley has not done a 37-second lap time, for example. So ignore the times on the left. We will move on from practice very shortly. In fact, if I just get rid of that, there we go. We can leave it at that. Otley can have his moment in the sunshine in practice. But Duncan Murray says Russell the Love Muscle pipped Hamilton. Yes, not here to talk about Formula 1 qualifying, although, well, bad day for McLaren and not bad for Mercedes 2-3, and I'm rooting for Alonso, I think, tomorrow. But Russell is rubbish in the race, so there we go. We'll leave it at that. Hopefully he does better tomorrow, I'm sure. Anyway, quick catch-up on the season, shall we? Before this round, this is what it looked like in the Teams Championship. Win It or Bin It on top with 235 points. Pulsar Esports with 203 in second. Send It and Bend It in third place with 195. And Street Casuals in fourth, with ORD being a top 5 team there in 5th place. Then it was Goldwing, Masters of Talk, Viking Raiders, Lurchers Gaming, Meatball Motorsport, Zero Forks Given Racing and Parallel Racing Group rounding off the field with 46 points. Your drivers' standings were as follows after round 1. Before this round, Jake Cranston, John Bailiff, Austin Farr, your top 3. Stephen King, Dan Downing, Eric Manningfeld, Carl Ridley, Depart, Germany and Dempsey rounding off your top 10. Stephen Burns up there in P11, Henry Morse P12 after a shocking first round, but he will be coming back strong, I'm sure. Andre Meyerek, Matt Sanderson, Sam Van Olst, David Corpus, Timu Toika and Andy Fox round off your top half of the field. If we then have a look at your final 30, your final 16 even, you then have Yeezy Samundere in 19th, just 2 points behind Andy Fox. Greg Otley, unfortunately after a drive-through, drops down the order. He's in 20th. Tim Rutten, Sebastian Holmichael for Meatball Motorsport up there in 21st and 22nd. Wallace, Schwind, Thon, LeQuay, Gjesdal, Caraday, Gibson, Thornton. Round off your top 30. Jan Weisfanger, Kamidallin, Henriksen, Murray, Agard, and that will be Burkhardt that should be there in 36th place. Round off your drivers' standings. We would not be here at the Nords if it wasn't for the racing line, actually. Oh, that's sweet. That's potentially true. We've got a lot of question marks in chat. Good evening, says Kite the Bird. And a second Swiss person. Yes, there are 2 Swiss people on the grid. I don't actually know who Kite the Bird is. Are you Swiss as well? Is this a Swiss fan? But yes, we do have 2 Swiss on the grid now, which is great to see. I don't understand why we... Oh, look, there's Jerry Agard, currently in the Nürburgring. Well, he's at Summit Point and the Nürburgring at the same time. Racing Duncan Murray. Let's skip to qualifying, shall we? I think I've caught up on everything we need to. And let's have a look-see at how this goes. Kite the Bird says, well, I am Swiss indeed. Oh, good. Well, you've got some representation on the grid today. Actually, regularly, because Jerry Agard, I think, has been pretty much in every league. Look at the Morgan Burkhardt weaving his way. So we've got a few drivers actually starting the season at this round who missed round 1. Morgan Burkhardt, last season's champion, is one of them. There he is, side by side with ORD's Patrick Depart down into turn 1. Congrats are in order for Morgan, actually, who I believe had some very strong real racing over the weekend in Spec Racers. I think it was Spec Racers, or was it MX5s? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he got pole in something at Virginia International Raceway. I think it was Spec Racers. And then he had a very strong race as well, so congrats to Morgan Burkhardt. Last season's champion, Jake Cranston, dethroned, and Morgan Burkhardt running the number 1 car this season. What can he do on his first race back? Someone else we haven't seen yet, we've already spoke to in chat, is Jerry Agard. Very much all the drivers flying around. You know what? It's actually Alejandro Caraday who seems to be the first driver going around. He was out the pits quick time. Should we go on board with Alejandro Caraday for a lap of Summit Point? Let's talk through this. So, top speed in the Volkswagen Jetta as we come down the main straight. We are going to reach what speed before we hit the cones? 195 kilometers an hour-ish. Down to 3rd gear for turn 1. A tight right-hand apex. Comes out wide to the left-hand side. Goes back up through the gears. Gets back over to the right. Ready for the fast left-hander of turn 2. Maybe turn 3 on the track map. I'm not sure. And that's going to be a tricky one today because the iRacing has upgraded its grass and gravel physics. And a lot of people used to run wide on the exit of 2 there. and that gravel will be slowing them down heavily this season, as it has not done in previous seasons. This is a tricky corner. Hopefully you won't see too many passes into here, but it can be done. Very risky though, and then it gets into this tight and twisty single file section. I've lost count of the turns. I think that's turn 5, the hairpin in the middle, so this will be 6, 7, 8, and 9. Fast and flowing. Should be able to do it flat out if you get the line right. Being careful of understeer. Revved the engine out in 5th gear, up into 6th towards the final turn as well. Pit entry on the right hand side. Should be no problems with that. And then this fast right-hander is so important, because the better exit that you can get, the more chance you're not going to make yourself in a dangerous position for turn 1. The better exit you can get. I wonder what it looks like behind Caraday as he sets his first time. And the times come tumbling in. Can't actually see. Everyone's a little bit too far back. You should see them coming around turn 1 in a minute. This is on the back of Caraday's car. Got 5 minutes left of qualifying, and the times are popping up. And it's Stephen King who goes fastest at the moment, with Henry Morse and Austin Farr less than 1/10 behind. Joshua Germany up there as well in P4. That is a great result for him. Austin Farr the fastest in Sector 2. Eric Mannenfeld fastest in Sector 1. For Senator Bender and John Bailiff fastest in Sector 3. I said that final turn was extremely important, and that means John Bailiff might be quite handy in the old main overtaking zone, turn 1. For win it or bin it. Green sectors at the bottom. Stephen King says, speaking of MOT, my Fiesta had its MOT today and had to spend £800 on a new track rod and suspension spring. Ooh. Oh dear. And that's why he's drinking himself to sleep tonight. Nothing to do with his result in this race, I'm sure. Andre Majorek to the top of the times in the ORD machine with a 122.2, 13 thousandths quicker than Jake Cranston. The number 44 with 3 minutes left of qualifying, getting a tow from Sam Bernals in the Goldwing machine just in front of him, and one of the Win It or Bin It cars is up there as well. Can't quite see who that is from here. Tim Rutten in the Meatball Motorsport car on the left stays out the way, nearly came back on the line, thought better of it, good choice. But Andre Majorek currently fastest. Is anyone behind Andre? It's Tim Rutten who slotted in. Timu Toika, who normally has a slow start to the season, seems to have had the same in round 1, but look at him up there in P5 now, just 2 tenths off of the top time. Sends it down the inside of Tim Rutten there. Good to see the Finnish driver return. Greg Otley is having a strong start to his season, if not for the penalties that he received in-game. If you hit that X limit, the drive-through is murderous to your race. All the ZFG boys out on track together. If we go on the nose of Greg Otley's car, you can see Ruslan Kamadulan just in front of him and Martin Wallace just in front of him. So all 3 of these cars together, slipstreaming round. Wallace leading the team right now, but Greg, I think, showing the pace out of the 3. Wallace has put himself in a tough position here, being the lead car, as Morgan Burkhardt jumps up into P3 and Mundere jumps up into P25. Dan Downing is currently 34, 5 seconds off the pace. Why is he down there? Dan Downing, a regular in the top of the field. He's about to cross the line. Can he improve? Jumps up to 20th, but he's only 4 tenths off of pole position, and he's in 20th place. This is why we come back to Summit Point. I've all of a sudden remembered. The top 32 are separated by 8 tenths of a second. Currently, Alejandro Caraday and Joseph Gibson are over the 1 second mark. Oh, can they close that down in the next minute and 10 seconds? I think it's going to be tough for Joe Gibson, because he looks like he's by himself currently in the first sector. So he's got no tow. He's driving around by himself, and I think it's going to be a tight run to the line, to be honest. Because there's less than a minute left. I don't know if he's going to make it. Who else? Alejandro Caraday, where is he? He's about to cross the line. Does he improve? I don't think he did. No, he didn't. He done a 124, so he's 2 seconds off. So he hasn't. Mayerek is currently still showing a pole position. Morgan Burkhardt's about to cross the line. Can he improve on his 55 thousandths? As there's a car that shoots off in the distance into the wall. That was a PRG car. I think that might have been Loic Thon. And all the cars now coming into the pits. People are crossing the line. I can't actually see who's about to cross the line. Andy Geschwind, can he improve? Greg Otley. Is Andre Mayerek about to claim his first pole position of the season? 0.66 seconds to pole and P29. 31 is 6 tenths. So 31 places separated by 6 tenths of a second. And the 8 minutes ticks over. And Andre Mayerek is your pole sitter for Summit Point. I didn't know that. Why did I not know that? Although it's swapped over now. Is there something gone wrong with this? Didn't Cranston get pole? Pretty sure he did. It shows that he did there. What happened with our timing screens? Should we have a look at the actual results just so that we can fix this? Wait, what does this say? Ah, look at that. In fact, I could have just done it this way. Let's go through our grid. So it showed Andre Mayerek in that 8-minute session, but this is the official qualifying results then. So Jake Cranston did get pole position by 4 thousandths of a second. So Andre Mayerek very closely nearly got pole for ORD, but he does start on the front row. Morgan Burkhardt, 22 thousandths back. Timu Toika also on the second row. Good stuff from him. Austin Farr, Stephen King, Andy Fox, Henry Moss, John Bailiff, and Sam Van Elst round off your top 10 with Duncan Murray in P11 and Joshua Germany P12. Your next lot of drivers are Agard, Burns, Dempsey, Otley, Ridley, Thornton, Anderson and Downing, your top 20. Depart, Corpus, Camadullin and Wallace, your top 24. And your final group of drivers rounding off the grid is Amundere, Lequay, Weiswanger, Gjesdal, Thon, Geschwind, Manenfeld, Rutten, Gibson and Caraday rounding off your field. 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds separating the whole 34 car field. 2 drivers missing from today. Sebastian Holmichael for Meatball Motorsport is 1. Ooh, it's always awkward when I forget who else is missing. Who else was missing from this round? Or maybe chat can remind me. It's not the VR boys. Is it a Send It and Bend It car? No, they're all 3 here. Win it or bin it, all 3 here. Who else was missing? Not sure how that messed up. What it will be, Stephen, is 4 thousandths is such a close margin, so sometimes it doesn't recognise it. And they're off. The green lights are out, and it's a 9-lap race at Summit Point. We see some wheel spin. The tyre smoke is up, and away they go as they all start filtering into a single file line. There's a PRG car looking to make a move there down towards turn 1 as we go to our turn 1 camera. And can we see, is there going to be any contact as they all come through 2 by 2? 34 cars all into one corner, and it looks like we have survived. Jake Cranston leads the way, then Morgan Burkhardt moves up into P2, or does he? Andre Mayerek moves over, a little bit of a touch, and Morgan Burkhardt is going to go around the outside of turn 2. Is he going to dip a wheel on the gravel? No, he keeps it on the curb. Very well done from both drivers. Andre Mayerek absolutely keeping it clean and giving him room there on the exit, so he didn't dip a wheel in the gravel. Look at Timu Toika for Pulsus come through down the inside towards turn 5. Austin Farr and Mayerek now side by side. Farr goes around the outside of turn 5 as they, oh my god, and that's Jerry Agard as well, side by side with Stephen Burns. They touch as they go into turn 7, I think this is. Stephen Burns gets shuffled out a little bit wide. Now Greg Otley's going to try and come through as well as he bounces over the curb, loses traction and cannot gain the position. And now they all come through the flat out right hand. I think Corpus is in the wrong position as well as he's getting shuffled down the order. And Ruslan Camadullin goes up into P23 side by side with the Lurchers cars. Are they going to go 3 wide towards the final turn? That would be a terrible idea. Jesus backs out of it. Wallace and Downing side by side up the road as well. Downing around the outside is probably going to have the run. If we go on the nose cam of Patrick Depart, the Polish driver here for ORD, and he's going to see Dan Downing with a slightly better run down towards turn 1. And Martin Wallace is on the inside. All thought about going down the inside, making it 3 wide. Can Wallace outbrake Dan Downing? The ZFG car on the right, Dan Downing on the left, and it looks like Wallace is going to keep this position. Agard and Murray side by side up the road though. And I don't know who. The move is done. Jerry Agard moved up into P12 past Duncan Murray into turn 1. Look at those gaps. Depart and Downing still fighting it out through here. Depart's going to go around the outside, dips a wheel on the gravel. Look how much of a run he lost. He was side by side with Downing through turn 2. Loses it all. Corpus and Kamadulin are still fighting. No, Jesus Amundere comes through and gains a position. Jesus Amundere for Lurch's game. Oh, there's a touch back there. That's Mannenfeld and a Lurch's car. Mannenfeld's off the track, and that will be Ika Lequay as well involved in that. Spins round, comes back onto the circuit. Let's have a quick replay. I think we'll be able to see a replay of that. And let's have a look. See. Can't quite see what happened from that angle. Mannenfeld just looks like touched the rear. Mannenfeld being the car behind, both across the grass. And then this is where it could have got really dangerous, as Ika Lequay can't stop his car as he bounces across the grass, goes straight into the back or the front of Eric Mannenfeld, and they both actually wheel off track quite nicely and then continue on their way. Catch back up with the leaders, and we've got Morgan Burkhardt here chasing down and hounding Jake Cranston. These are your two season protagonists normally. Can't get my words out. But Morgan Burkhardt, this is what it looks like inside his car. Can he get the run down through the final turn? This is what it looks like then. So he's going to push Jake Cranston, it looks like. They're trying to get away. Looks like they're working together at this stage. Mannenfeld comes into the pits. So that'll be a meatball for Eric Mannenfeld from that incident with the Lurch's car. Going into turn 1, nothing doing for Morgan Burkhardt. But behind him, he needs to be careful because there are wolves hunting him down. Andre says could just broadcast the website. Honestly, if you would rather watch the website, you go for it. It's theracingline.org. See Ika Lequay and Eric Mannenfeld on the maps now. A little bit further away. Joe Gibson up into 32nd place as a result of that incident. We got any drone? Oh, we do have a drone cam on this circuit. Love a drone cam. Is it going to show us some trees? I'm sure of it. But Morgan Burkhardt's still right behind him. We've got Joshua Germany and Sam Van Olst fighting. Apparently, Jerry Agard comes through the inside as well. Sam Van Olst in the wrong position. Is Duncan Murray going to pass him? No, Duncan Murray thinks better of it. Does not pass his teammate into the final section. Stephen Burns is all over the back of the Goldwing cars as well. I think Stephen Burns is going to try and go around the outside of Duncan Murray here into the final turn. Can he get it done? I think he's backed out of it. Slots in behind, gets back into the slipstream of Duncan Murray. But is he under pressure from Carl Ridley? No, it looks like Carl Ridley does not have the run. Otley also does not have the run. Let's look forward again. There must be so many. Let's have a look at... Can we have a look at the turn 1 cam, actually, directors? Joshua Germany comes sweeping in. Sam Van Olst has a look down the inside. Pretty much see the whole field, apart from the two drivers in the earlier incident, all together still. Gjesdal down the inside of Schwind there. That was a very late move by the looks of it. Not sure if contact was made, but they're still racing here, so I don't think it is. The Swiss driver versus the Norwegian driver. Viking Raiders versus Street Casuals, side by side down towards turn 3. And it looks like Gjesdal's going to get it done round the outside of turn 3, and that is Loic Thon behind, the Dutch driver for PRG, with Caraday as well, the 55 machine. Down towards turn 5, Thon defends from his teammate, or is he having a look at Geschwind down the inside? Looks like he was having a look for a move there. With the right track combo, this is the pinnacle of racing in its purest form, as we see smoke up ahead, and that is a big, big, big crash there up the road. We're going to have a replay of that. Let's see what happened. So Ruslan, Dan Downing. Oh, it looks like Depart's actually already had the incident up the road. 3 cars into 1 doesn't go. Dan Downing forces his way through. Jesus Amundere drives into the side of Ruslan. Cuts across. Jesus has spun. Ruslan comes back onto the circuit right next to Tim Rutten. And not Jesus, that's Jan Weiswanger there in the other meatball car. So the 2 meatball cars on the inside now. We're on lap 4 of 9. And Ruslan just turns into nothing there. What? Turns into nothing. I don't even know if I can have a replay of that. What's the best way we can watch this? Is this where the incident started? Dan Downing bounces over the curb. Patrick Depart was forced out wide, so that would have been from contact of these two. Where's the drone cam? It will show us an overhead view. Corpus is then on the inside anyway. Dan Downing turns in. Patrick Depart's trying to get back on the line. Dan Downing's going to hit the rear of Corpus, so this could be attributed to Dan, really. Spins Corpus into Depart. Thornton gets a hit from behind for slowing down from this incident. That was Yeezus that hit Thornton, who then spun from contact with Ruslan, who then nearly took out Tim Rutten. And if we go back to Ruslan's car, let's go on the chopper cam. He looked like maybe he was trying to come into the pits. Yeah, he broke it. Oh my, that was embarrassing for the UAE driver. Looks like he went to turn into the pit lane, and there was a car there. that's basically what happened. You actually see him brake as well. You saw him brake to come behind Jan Weiswanger and then turn into the pits. As we see Stephen King and Henry Morse going side by side down towards turn 3. Great shot of this fight, actually. Ooh, gives him minimal room, but just enough given. Henry Morse still there on the inside as they head down towards turn 5. But Stephen King, I think, going to have the edge in this fight. And that is Andy Fox as well versus John Bailiff in the send it or bend it machine. And the win it or bin it machine. But John Bailiff keeps it down the inside in the final section. Great stuff from that pair. Jan Weiswanger says, that's still painful, I lose so many places. It is very, very painful. Yeah, Jan Weiswanger, nothing wrong in that situation, other than being in the wrong place, wrong time, through no fault of his own. Burkhardt is actually in the lead of this race. Let's see how that happened. Oh, it very much happened on the main straight. So he just got bored of slipstreaming Jake Cranston. Goes side by side down towards turn 1. We see Joshua Germany and Jerry Agard in the background actually also having a bit of a tussle. Josh looked like he weaved very violently across to the right hand side to defend from Jerry Agard. And they go side by side round turn 1. Jerry Agard on the outside. Josh forces him out a little bit but gives him room. Can Jerry get the run down? Stephen King, this is what we saw with Henry Morse earlier on the chopper cam. But Jerry Agard and Joshua Germany having a right old tussle as well. Masters of Tour. This is Jerry Agard's strong return to season 4. He's in P11 right now, looking for a top 10 finish. I actually can't. I don't know who's going to come out on top in this. But yes, Stephen King says Ruslan is a donut. Let's see if we can get to those 100 messages, guys. Keep that chat coming. Let's see a lot of you talking. We've done it in round... No, we didn't do it in round 1. We did it in Media Day. Media Day, we hit 100 messages. I think we got pretty close in round 1 because there was a lot of you talking. Can you do it in round 2? Get chatting on YouTube and Twitch. They all count, I think. As we see... I thought Andy Fox went into the pits then. It came up on my screen, but he did not. It looks like there's a bit of a gap behind Fox to Joshua Germany, actually, so that shows how hard they're fighting. Kieran Dempsey moves to the right-hand side with Matt Sanderson behind him as well. Sam Vanols goes to defend from Stephen Burns. Jerry Agard has another go round the outside of turn 1. Burns and Vanols also side by side. Vanols tries forcing him out. Inside line looks to be stronger around turn 1, but Jerry Agard looks more alongside than he did before. But Duncan Murray's trying to get involved in this fight as well. Can Jerry Agard go down the inside of turn 3? Leans on the rear of Joshua Germany. Whoa, Dempsey, big old drift in the back there. With a bit of contact, I imagine. Can we see that again? It's with Matt Sanderson, who's firmly down the inside. Oh, Kieran just turns in as if the car's not there. Big slide, goes across the gravel, and look how much momentum he loses. Martin Wallace for ZFG is going to come through, and there's a Goldwing in the background going off all by himself. That was Dan Downing. He had no help. He done it all by himself. And then Alertus gaming car of David Corpus closes the gap. But Dan Thornton also up in 22nd with Patrick Depart right behind him, the two ORD boys. Do you think Joshua Germany would score as many podiums while at a weaker team? Says Stephen King. That's you trying to fill up the chat. You keep going with those questions. Obviously all cars are the same, and it is a fixed setup for those that are new or not used to the Volkswagen Jetta Cup. All these cars are running the same fuel, and you can't change anything else. So it is a fixed setup series, which is why the times are almost always so close. And as mentioned in chat previously, Andre says pinnacle of wrecking. In a high competitive field, the wrecks are always... Oh, Stephen Burns with a late defense on Carl Ridley there. Great stuff to see these guys fighting. There were questions raised about the two sister teams that aren't the sister teams, in quotation marks, but they are very much fighting each other. It sounded like someone went off there or spun, but maybe it's just the tyre squill. But yes, Joshua Germany very much the cork in the bottle round here. Duncan Murray and Sam Van Olst seem to be working together now, as Duncan Murray gets a bit of a push from Sam. This is allowed. Jerry Agard down the inside. Can Murray get this move done? I think he might. Down the inside of turn 5, and Duncan Murray goes up into P11, and Sam Van Olst is going to come through as well. Or not, because Jerry Agard keeps his car there. And I don't know who's going to come out on top. Jerry Agard can slot in the middle of the Goldwing boys. Carl Ridley's looking feisty behind though. Is he going to be able to get past Sam in the next few corners? I am not sure. As they disappear behind the tree. Sam Van Olst right behind Jerry Agard. And will Andre and Patrick sit down soon and have the chat? Dan always gives us the chat and phone record every opportunity he gets. If that is true, he does do that, bless him. As we see Ridley and Van Olst side by side. Ridley round the outside of turn 1 here. Can't get it done. Nothing doing. He's a bit self-conscious. Say something nice about him. I'll tell you, well, I don't need to force it, as we see more scrap. There's battles all over the place here at Summit Point. Little gaggles of 5 cars. Little mini spaghettis of Jettas. Spaghetti Jettas. As Tim Rutten is under pressure from both PRG cars. Geschwind round the outside. Thon round the outside now, the Dutch driver. Does he dip a wheel on the gravel? Can he keep the run after dipping the wheel on the gravel? Unpopular opinion, Dan Downing would be a championship contender if he broke tyres with Goldwing. These are headlines. Anderson and Wallace side by side in the middle sector. Still side by side, there you go. Bounces over the curb, does Anderson. There might have been a bit of a touch there. Kieran Dempsey's trying to pick up any pieces as we go on to lap. We're approaching the final lap, actually, as Timu Toika is now in P2. When did that happen? I can't see that on my screen, so won't be able to see that replay. Sorry, Timu, but Jake Cranston is all over the back of him, and he's going to try and take it back. Is he going to send it down towards the inside of turn 1? Oh, it got very close between the top 3 then. All 3 of them going towards the apex of turn 1 together as Jerry Agard and Duncan Murray are side by side. Jerry Agard's going to swoop round the outside of Duncan and get the position back for P11. But Joshua Germany still holding on to the position. Loic Thon and Tim Rutten are fighting in towards turn 1 as well. Ridley and Van Olst side by side down to... I don't know where to look. They're all fighting everywhere. Turn 3, Van Olst on the inside of Ridley. Are they going to give each other room? Yes, they do. No gravel gets kicked up. Well done for them. Rutten and Thon still fighting. Ridley and Van Olst. King and Morse side by side again. Down towards turn 5, and it looks like Morse might get the move done or not, because King's still on the inside. Austin Farr just up the road. King slots back in the middle of them. Greg Otley is tumbling down the order. Is he off? He is off! He's in the wall! Greg Otley has gone off the circuit. Can we see a replay? I think we're going to have to. Down towards turn 5. Oh, Sam Van Olst and Carl Ridley make contact. Sam Van Olst very much out of control there. Should we have one more look? Let's slow it down. Sam Van Olst and Carl Ridley get a little bit of a touch. Is the drone cam going to show a good shot of this? That is a great shot. Now, Sam Van Olst very much out of control. Keeps his car, saves it. Greg Otley just no time to react. No fault of Greg's, really. To quote a famous commentator, there was nothing he could do. But it was the last lap of the race, and we hate to see it. Greg Otley has had been on for some strong results in the first 2 rounds. And something just keeps happening to him to knock him right down the order. Let's go back to full speed, shall we? As we see, let's go to your leaders, because they're still very close together, to be honest. As we see Morgan Burkhardt, Teemu Toika and Jake Cranston, your top 3 best drivers in Belgium, Thierry Neuville and Sam Van Holst. There we go, Morgan Burkhardt coming around the final turn then with Teemu Toika. I don't think any moves are going to change here, or can Austin Farr pass Andre Majorek as they go towards the line? It's going to be pretty close between these two as well. Teemu Toika and Morgan Burkhardt side by side as they cross the line. 37 thousandths of a second. Jake Cranston in P3. We'll ignore the Street Casuals car flying off in the distance. Majorek P4, King P6. Germany and Agard end up finishing P10 and 11. Greg Otley distraught. And I do not blame him, because honestly, he's shown some really strong pace in the first part of this season. Really strong pace, and he should be happy with that. It's just it hasn't come together for him yet, but we have seen this before with other drivers where they've shown pace. It might take a bit of time, but that result will come. Can Greg Otley win this season? I don't know. I wouldn't like to make that call. It's definitely possible. But we will see, I think, if he can just stay under that X limit. I mean, this one was unfortunate. He couldn't do anything there, could he? But the X limit at Barber also cost him dearly. Anyway, we got distracted a little bit there as we see this lovely blimp shot of Summit Point and the results come onto your screens. We were talking about Dan Thornton. I'm going to put that on pause one more time whilst I go through these results, and when I get to Dan Thornton, we'll talk about Dan Thornton as well. Morgan Burkhardt then wins on his first race back, which I'm sure he will be buzzing about. Parallel Racing Group then with their first win ever, but the number 1 machine, Morgan Burkhardt, takes his first win with his first time on track this season. Teemu Toika, who did not have a strong round 1, which seems to be a trend, comes back with a vengeance and nearly takes the win in race 3, round 2. 31 thousandths behind according to that timing screen, and Jake Cranston down in P3 after getting pole position. Andre Majorek started P2, he's down to P4, but a very strong result for the ORD driver. We'll be happy with the top 5. Austin Farr P5, just 1 second back. Stephen King, Morse, Bailiff, Fox and Germany round off your top 10. A strong result for Andy Fox, who I assume would also be happy with a P9. Jerry Agard P11 on his return to the season. Duncan Murray P12, also probably happy with that. Carl Ridley, Stephen Burns P13 and 14. Van Holst, Wallace P16, Anderson and Dempsey. Whilst we're on this page, remember race 2, or in this case race 4, the second race of the event, which is twice as long and forced to have a pit stop, is a reverse 16. So I'll go through that grid now because we know the overlay doesn't work on replays. Martin Wallace is going to be starting on pole position again at Summit Point. What a racetrack for him. Sam Van Holst will be starting in second. Stephen Burns and Ridley on row 2. Murray and Agard on row 3. Germany and Fox on row 4. Bailiff and Morse on row 5. King and Farr on row 6. Majorek and Cranston on row 7. With Toika and Burkhardt starting the race on row 8. Everyone from 17th and below will be starting where they finished. So, where did we get to? Martin Wallace was P16. So Matt Sanderson then P17. Dempsey, Downing and Corpus round off your top 20. There we go. Dan Thornton. Let's have a quick chat about Dan Thornton. Andre Majorek says he's very What was the words that Andre used? I'm going to have to scroll up. Something, it was self-conscious, that was the word. Very self-conscious. But the thing is with something like this, and Dan reminds us of this many times, there's 36 drivers on the roster. The grid is full, unfortunately. Sorry, Sebastian, who says, how do I join this? But do join the Discord, or keep an eye on the website, theracingline.org. Season 5 next year will be open. Or, potentially, you can be a reserve driver in this season, but thankfully the retainment is quite high, so it's very rare that a seat opens up, if you want me to be honest. Stephen King has spotted Dan D. Thornton. That is because there are 2 THOs on the grid with Loic Thon and Dan Thornton, so to have them show up differently on the overlay, that is why their name is there. I'm sure you'll work that out on by yourself. The Dan Thornton, very self-conscious, but with a grid like this, it's so strong. And Dan Thornton has stayed with us from the very beginning. He's, if I'm not mistaken, taken part in every race that we've run. Or maybe he's missed one. We've definitely had conversations about him running pretty much every event that we have raced. Maybe someone can jump in and remind me of that. It will definitely be on the stats page. But what I love about Dan Thornton is, even though he knows that he can't potentially win a race with these strength of fields, he shows up week in, week out. Dan has never missed a Jetta race, says Jan. There you go, confirmed. Every Jetta race he's taken part in. He always shows up. He always gives it a go. He always gives it his best. And what I love about this series, and this is not me being like, oh, I run the Jetta Cup, it's amazing. What I love about this series is like the little wins that aren't actually wins. For example, Jerry Agard's first podium, which he waited 2 years for. I'm sure it was 2 years. It was a long time. Everyone was very happy. Andy Fox's first win at Monza. Everyone was very happy. Austin Farr's first win last time out at, was it Barber? Amazing stuff. Now with Dan Thornton, whenever he finishes above 20th in a 36 car field, not only is he happy, but other people notice it, which is great stuff. And I think he beats himself up a little bit and maybe thinks that other people don't notice it, but honestly it gets spoken about. If Dan Thornton finishes in the top 15 just once this season, that can be a target for him if he wants it. If he finishes in the top 15 just once this season, everyone will be buzzing for him, because it's a super strong result. In fact, what is he aiming for in terms of his best result ever? I'm going to have a quick look at the stats page on theracingline.org. I have a feeling it's around 11th or 12th, which would have been done in Season 1 with let's say a slightly easier grid. It was still a tough grid, but a slightly easier grid. Dan Thornton's highest finishing position. Oh, he did get a P9 actually. Oh, that's going to be tough. But I mean, that for Dan will be like winning a championship. If he got a P9, he would be absolutely over the moon, and I think so would everyone else. His highest grid position is 13th. And he's going to need a massive crash, which does tend to happen sometimes in the Jetta Cup. Anyway, let's go to Patrick Dupart is actually a big question mark here. I don't know how he finished 22nd, because he has pace to win races for sure for ORD. Andy Schwind on his debut, 23rd. Gjesdal and Thon, that's 3 new drivers altogether. And Gibson, actually 4 new drivers altogether in 23rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Just to show you the strength of field. Everyone pretty much above that has driven or raced the Jetta with us before. Caraday 27th, Otley 28th, Rutten 29th, Weiswanger 30th. Greg Otley down in 28th. That's why he's distraught. He was so far up. Amundere 31st. Manetveld and Nico Lequay had that earlier crash. 32nd and 33rd in the end, with Ruslan Kamadalin rounding off the field. Another new driver down in 34th place after his pit lane entry mishap and getting caught up in that Dan Downing incident as well. There's not long left. Kieran Dempsey and Carl Ridley, I believe, are providing the entertainment on track. Let's have a quick catch up on chat then, whilst there's 1 minute left of this break before we head to our final race of the evening, the feature race. twice as long. It'll be 18 laps, I imagine, with a pit stop. Timu, the silent assassin. Another win this season will come from him, says Stephen King. Duncan Ray says it was such a good race. Hit it or pit it. New team incoming to pick up all these unhappy drivers, says Andy Fox. Quite funny because they are literally collecting drivers like Pokemon trading cards. It's and good drivers as well. They're not just picking randomers. Greg says not with Sam on track. Still a bit salty by the sounds of it. Win some, you lose some, and you wreck some. And you Duncan some, says Jerry Agard. How do I join this? We've already explained that. It's tough. It's tough. Good. Dan D. Thornton, Loic Elthon. There is a website you can check. Dan never missed a Jetta race. I've read this part. He's never missing a Jetta race, says Stephen King. Same with Jan. Duncan, I thought you leave after Heat 1. Duncan's decided to stay because he's enjoying himself. Jan says I was on course for P11, P12 one time, but I got Kyled. Still salty about that because these results mean something. It's good. It's good to see because he got wrecked. You watched it. You don't want me? I can't remember what that was about. Oh, yeah, no, I know why Dan finished down the order. We love you, Donkey Schmunky, says Jerry Agard. Right, it's nearly time. That was our catch-up of the grid. Who did I say was starting on pole position? It was Martin Wallace. Where is Martin Wallace's name? There he is. Let's go to your start-finish line camera. And let's turn that music off before Andre tells me to in chat. And now we wait. Now we sit in silence. One thing I've noticed about replay files, the lights don't come on. So you just got to wait for the engine revs. There they are. And the lights are about to go out ever so shortly. The 1 minute timer is up, which means they're going to go out any second now. And away they go. A bit of wheel spin from Wallace and Ridley, but everyone gets away with a fairly even start. No real advantages here from everyone. Oh, apart from that back here, there seems to be a bit of a shuffling of the order as I choke on my own air. Here we go then, down towards turn 1. Martin Wallace down the inside, going to lead. Stephen Burns bounces over the curb. Sam Van Olst around the outside. Carl Ridley also 2x2. They all come by 2x2. And everyone survives turn 1. Martin Wallace then and Sam Van Olst, your front two, as they go down towards turn 2. This is the gravel corner. Oh, nearly. Sam Van Olst nearly touches there. Through the left-hander, and look at the run he got. Let's take a look on board from Stephen Burns' car as you can see the top three. Sam Van Olst down the inside. Martin Wallace gets pushed round to the right and he's in the wall. Martin Wallace tumbles down the order. He's in the wall and starts the race on pole position, and just like that it is over. Sam Van Olst and Carl Ridley continue their fight round turn 2, but Martin Wallace out of the race before it began. Andy Fox said close your eyes and hold your breath. He already knew what was going to happen, and there it was. Martin Wallace starts in first. He's now down in 34 for the very much damaged car. Is it a saving grace though? Like he gets to pit on lap 1 with a meatball. You can't pit before lap 5 unless you get car damage. Sam Van Olst then leads the way. Stephen Burns looks like he's having a look at Carl Ridley or just weaving out the slipstream. Josh Germany down in P6, following Jerry Agard and Duncan Murray. Fox, Bailiff and Morse also very close together as Carl Ridley sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:28.2. And Sam Van Olst still continues to lead the way, but Carl Ridley is all over the back of him. Can he get this? Let's go on board. Let's go on the nose cam of Stephen Burns again, because he's very, very close to these two. So lap 2 of 18 then. Stephen Burns breaks a little bit through the right-hander. Joe Gibson seems to have had an issue at the back as he tumbles down the order. Carl Ridley down the inside of Sam Van Olst, and Sam moves over to the left and spins him round down towards turn 5. Stephen Burns gets tagged. No, Sam Van Olst, there's a Goldwing car on 2 wheels. Sam Van Olst rolls the machine. Timu Toika gets involved. That's Kieran Dempsey in the 86 machine getting spun round and going on the grass. How many more cars are going to get involved in this? That's, is that John? No, that's Carl Ridley at the back there with the damage. Morgan Burkhardt gets through that, I believe. And Joshua Germany has a blown engine. We've seen this before. We have seen this image before. The Top Gear meme of Jerry Clarkson in the old car. Oh, Morgan Burkhardt got a meatball as well. The number 1 machine in the pits. Oh dear, there were a lot of drivers involved in that accident. I'm not sure we're going to be able to break that down. Shall we try? I think we should have one go before we get too far into the race. We're going to need your drone cam. So Carl Ridley forces his way down the inside. That is a push to pass there down towards turn 5. So if he kept this position, that would have been a 5-second penalty for Kyle if it stayed like this and he didn't return it within a lap. But Sam Van Olst just moves over to the left, pit maneuvers Kyle round. So no penalty for Kyle in the end because that is not his fault. Stephen Burns then, watch this as Kyle rolls back onto the track. Stephen Burns gets tagged, nearly made it round. That is such a shame for Stephen. Duncan Murray then hits Kyle's car. That's the Goldwing car that ended up on 2 wheels. Jerry Agard, is he going to slot through the middle? The Masters of Torque car does get a couple of knocks. John Bailiff has also got stuck on that line. Henry Morse is going to slot right through though, as is Andy Fox. Stephen King's going to come through as Sam Van Olst goes on his roof. 2 Win It or Bin It cars off. Stephen Burns is the one that gives Burkhardt the meatball. Austin Farr also gets hit by Duncan Murray there. Andre Marek looks like he's going to come through. Dan Downing is the one that hits Kieran Dempsey round. Jake Cranston looks like he's going to come through. Patrick Depart can make it through safely. David Corpus is going to make it through safely. Dan Thornton looks like he's got a bit of a damaged front end, but I think he's made it through safely. He's up into 13th place, just as we were talking about having a good race. I don't know how many positions that. He's now up into P12 as he goes up the inside of Stephen Burns. Unreal stuff from Dan Thornton to be up there, and many, many, many more crashes. That was pretty insane. Timu Toika there, but look at the smoke trail that Joshua Germany is leaving behind him. I didn't see who he actually hit, but definitely got damage. Oxid said now for the ultimate Goldwing. Very much so. Goldwing often involved in crashes. In fact, I can tell you, no spoiler alerts. As Dan Downing swoops around the outside of... Oh, John Bailiff. They got very close to having another wreck there around the final turn. Did not see that. Dan Downing slots behind Jake Cranston and Depart slots behind John Bailiff. It's 2x2 as they head down towards turn 1. The overlay is going to try and sort itself out, so ignore the order. Matt Sanderson seems to have gained big. He's up into P6. Jake Cranston does gain the position. Dan Downing forces his way through. David Corpus is up into P11, fighting for P10. Lap 3 of 18, and it's all kicked off already. Austin Farr, Henry Morse and Jerry Agard at the top of this race right now. Jerry Agard is leading then on his first race back to the Jetta Cup. But he's got Henry Morse and Austin Farr for Street Casuals chasing him down. Stephen King and Andy Fox in your top 5. Matt Sanderson in your top 6. Dan Downing having a stronger race too at the moment. Jake Cranston has a blinking car up the road. I think that's Stephen King. As Tim Rutten and Ruslan are side by side in P17 and 18. This really was a big incident to have so many drivers shuffling around. Ruslan keeps that position from Tim Rutten then. Can indeed overtake. Martin Wallace fighting his way back up from his earlier incident. Goes around the outside of Jan Weisfanger. He's got a Send It and Bend It car in front of him. That's Stephen Burns. Is he going to pass him? He's in the slipstream of Ika Lequay. I think Stephen might be pitting. He does. Stephen Burns massively down on power. No meatball, but no penalty because he's been tumbling down the order for that whole lap. He very much sacrificed a lot of speed in whatever contact he had. It was that reverse contact that he had. Andre says he wants to point out that right now he is running in 30th place. Please compare that to my finishing position at the end. Didn't spoil it for us, but keep an eye on this man then. All of you in chat, anyone that's just joining us to watch the race, welcome. Keep an eye on this man, the number 44, Andre Marek. Keep an eye on all of them. I know there's a lot of them, but I've got to do it. You can do it too. Just Evo thing says perfect time to join. Good to see you, Martin. I heard you were maybe slightly upset. No, don't blame you after that lap 1 exit. Jake Cranston is lighting up the timing screens right now with that very heavily looking damaged car. as Tim Rutten and Ruslan are still fighting side by side. These two, both new on the grid, and Loic Thon is there as well. I keep forgetting. There's a three-way newbie fight here that keeps happening. Not sure which corner this is. Is that the final turn? Are they about to come through here? It's not the final turn. I think it's onto that back straight. Oh, there we go. There's your trees everyone wanted to see. There's Dan Thornton racing Andy Gschwind for P12 and 13. He was just coming into the foreground of your shot. Gschwind round the outside in the 72 Street Casuals machine. Can't get it done. Dan Thornton on the inside keeps it. Greg Otley's making moves behind with Marcus Gjesdal, the Viking Raiders car. Alejandro Caraday up there as well in P16. Marcus Gjesdal can't get the run just there. We saw some gravel kicked up, not sure why. Marcus Gjesdal looking like he's trying to make a move here down in towards turn 5. Greg Otley defends, drives down the middle of the circuit. And look at that, Gjesdal opened up the inside and Alejandro Caraday shoots it down the inside of turn 5. Goes up into P15. Great move from the Spanish driver for the Parallel Racing Group. Tim missed his pit box, did a 2-stop, forgot to untick the tyres and got a speeding on the way out of the pits. I did see someone got speeding in the pits on the aftermath. And there you have it. As we see some drivers pitting in now then. Anderson and Dan Downing, the first ones to pit on lap 5. As we approach lap 6 then. It's a lovely hill. Jerry Agard does not pit. Stephen King is looking like he's about to make a move on Austin Farr down towards the inside of turn 1. Can he get it done on the brakes? Very, very late on the brakes, but Austin Farr holds him tight to the inside. Keep it clean, and away they go. Austin Farr keeps the position, and Henry Morse continues to chase down the Masters of Torque driver as we see more people come into the pits. That's Mannenfeld, Wallace, and Van Nolst end up pitting. These two pulling away from Austin Farr at the moment. Jerry Agard defends the inside of this corner. Henry Moss has a quick look around the outside. Under complete pressure. This is what it looks like from the rear of Jerry Agard's car. And there you can see in the bottom right your battle. Sam Van Nolst showing up on the screen now as he comes out the pits up the road. Oh, and Henry Morse thinks better of it. He's decided he's not going to race. He's not going to race Jerry Agard anymore. He's going to come into the pits. Let's have a look at his pit stop. How's he going to do this then? You can see all the drivers going past. Look how many places he's going to lose. This is how long a pit stop feels. You can see his revs going up. And away he goes. Or is that the speedo? Is it saying he's doing 80 kilometers when he was standing still? Anyway, comes out the pits in P18. And now let's keep an eye on this man because he was the highest runner. Morgan Burkhardt actually is behind, closing in. Oh, that was very close from Morgan Burkhardt on the pit exit there. He has also pitted, remember, on lap 1 with a meatball. And Joshua Germany also with his blown engine after that crash. So Henry Morse was P2 a second ago. Actual P2. So you would assume that he's in the net lead of this race right now. But Morgan Burkhardt and Joshua Germany, who pit on lap 1 after that big crash, are right behind him. So they are not out of this race at all. The Pulsars boys changing that engine in that amount of time. Cracking job. Not sure what was damaged on Burkhardt's car, but he did have a meatball. As we see Austin Farr, Andy Fox, Patrick Depart coming into the pits now. Now they were behind Henry Morse. So shall we go? Let's go on board with Joshua Germany. Are we going to see any of them in the pit exit? You can see them all coming out the pits now. There's the ORD car of Depart. Look at the speed difference as they come out the pits. We've got Morgan Burkhardt pushing Henry Morse. He does get past Andy Fox as well, but I think Austin Farr is going to come out in front of all of them. Oh, Joshua Germany having a look around the outside of Andy Fox. Can't quite get it done, but Austin Farr does come out in front of Morgan Burkhardt and Henry Morse. So the 79 machine now effectively in the lead of this race, by the looks of it. Jerry Agard is still very much in the lead of this race right now, but he has not pit yet. We'll have a look at a comparison of the pit stop times. We've all been enjoying that new little feature. Let's have a look. See, quickest pit stop then is Andy Fox and Patrick Dupart and Andre Marek with 8.8 seconds, all of them. That makes it look like the ORD boys have been practicing their pit stops, with both of them doing an 8.8 second stop. And Andy Fox also joining them. Let's have a look at the complete pit stop time though, because this is where the time is gained on pit entry and exit. So your quickest boys were Dupart and Marek. Marek did a 25 second stop as Henry Morse passes Austin Farr. It looks like Farr let him through there. Slots in front of Morgan Burkhardt, but Morgan Burkhardt's going to try and pass around the outside with the slipstream of Henry Morse. Going down towards turn 1, we're on lap 9 of 18, halfway through this race. Morgan Burkhardt holds him tight, Austin Farr's on his inside scrubs out wide. Understeers does Morgan, and I think he's going to gain this position. Dan Thornton's still very much in P6 right now. Dizzying heights. Morgan Burkhardt moves over and Austin Farr does stay in the middle of the street casuals, boys, but Henry Morse has been let loose. Joshua Germany still behind Andy Fox. Where was I? Andre Marek with a 25 second stop. Is that the quickest time there? It is. So it looks like Marek has absolutely nailed the pit stop here. 26.1 for Austin Farr is a pretty strong stop as well. 27.1 for Otley. I think they are your quickest actually. 26.1, then 25 and 27.1. What can the rest do? We've had a few more come into the pits. Andre Marek can see your lead train. He said he was in P30 before the pit stop. Are we going to see the cars start coming out? We do see one come out. Andre's actually passed the others. Dan Thornton now being passed by these guys. John Bailiff is going to be slow, but I don't think Andre's got enough speed to pass him into turn 1. If he does, it'll be an almighty send, as it looks like Agard has been passed by 2 people. Where did that happen? Okay, so Stephen King has already passed Jerry here, and then Jerry lets Jake through. So team game being played. Duncan Murray passing. Oh, so Ika LeQuay getting past. Whoa, look at Marcus Gesdal defend from Kieran Dempsey, and Dempsey squirreling on the brakes as he tried to go around the outside of Marcus. I think he might have got it done. That was a brilliant move from the Irish driver in the win it or bin it machine. And a great defense from Marcus Gesdal. He tried everything he could, and it's not over yet, but I think it's going to be over now. Or slight touch on the rear. Both saved it. Martin Wallace and Joseph Gibson are fighting it out back here as well, down towards turn 3. Joseph Gibson, yep, both stay on track. Don't go on the gravel. All good. Jake Cranston, Stephen King. No, Jake Cranston stays out by himself. Gets a free air lap as King, Agard and Corpus come in the pits, as do Caraday and Amundere. Where are your lead train? Henry Morse is coming to the final turn now. Let's have a look on Austin Farr's car. 25.4 for Dan Thornton, so he had a good stop as well. LeQuay's 1.6 looks a little bit suspicious, to be honest, unless that was just fast repair. But there's Jerry Agard on the right hand side. Austin Farr's going to come past him. He's going to come past Stephen King as well, down towards turn 1. Round the outside, Stephen King on the inside, Austin Farr on the outside. Morgan Burkhardt goes wide. They're free wide on the exit. The rear of Stephen King is locked into Austin Farr's car. Morgan Burkhardt and King around. Austin Farr keeps it on the circuit, continues on his way, and it looks like King is down to 15th. Burkhardt is in the pit, so he has entered the trees. Stephen King survives, but he's been passed by an all manner of cars. And Ridley and Mannenfeld looking to gain as well. Not quite, so he's down to 20th. Oh, there's more up here, actually. What happened up here? This is that incident again, but let's have a look further up the road, because I'm sure there was more of an incident. Should we go on the rear of Joshua Germany's car just to see if we can see what happened? There it was. Oh, it's the Goldwing. That's Dan Downing, I think. Yeah, it is Dan Downing coming together with one of the Win It or Bin It cars. That would have been Bailiff and Downing. Bailiff up in P10. Downing comes back on. Thornton slices his way through. Look at the speed of that ORD machine as he comes through. Thank you, John, for typing that after I showed it. No worries. You're welcome. Down around the outside of Ridley. Oh, gets run off there by Ridley a little bit. Squeezed out. Given no quarter. Greg Otley, though, stays. Oh, keeps his nose in. Greg being a little opportunistic there. That would have been naughty. Little bit of a naughty move. Didn't do it though, so it's fine. Where's Henry Morse? Coming down the main straight, and that is Jake Cranston up the road. So Jake Cranston, after doing a lap by himself with a 29.6 second stop, has Henry Morse coming down towards turn 1. Can he go around the outside? They're side by side down into the braking zone. Henry Morse tries to brake as late as he dares. Jake Cranston also misses his apex. Runs him out a little, maybe have made a little bit of contact. Andy Schwind making, I think he done this last time. Is he doing an extra lap to everyone else? Loves leading a lap, does Andy Schwind. I don't think there's a point for leading a lap. That is an option to do on iRacing, but I don't think I ticked it for the Jetta Cup. But he does this often. Fuel saving master. Henry Morse slots into second place then, and Jerry Agard was in a podium position, but Joshua Germany fights back, takes P4, which is effectively P3 once Andy pits. Andy Fox is having a cracking race as well. He's up in P6 right now. Austin Farr is fighting with Patrick Depart, who is having a better race than race 1. Ridley and King side by side into this section. Ridley does get past up into P17. Duncan Murray is up in P16. So let's have a final look at those pit stop times. Andy Geschwind already being passed by drivers, I think. I'm not sure where he's going to come out. I wasn't sure where he was before. He's in the pit exit now. Do we see him come out? No, not yet. There he is. So Karaday and Ruslan Kamadulin. Ooh, 3 wide. Ooh. Very smart positioning from Alejandro Karaday there. But it looks like Ruslan is going to try and go around the outside of the Spanish driver. Dan Thornton looks in the middle, trying to pick up any pieces as Henry Morse and Jake Cranston are fighting still. Henry Morse is trying. He's down the inside of turn 3. This is for the lead. They've done this again. That's twice they've done that. 2 laps in a row. And Jake Cranston keeps the run. Very respectful driving through that corner today, I must say. It was mentioned in the briefing about running people off there with the new gravel model. Oh, Greg Otley and Ika Lequay. Kieran Dempsey now 3 wide down towards this corner. That looked quite impressive, actually. Patrick Depart and Austin Farr fighting through this section. Austin Farr is about to pull off a brilliant move if he's the one pulling off this overtake. I wasn't sure who's attacking in this situation, but Austin Farr's going to come out on top by the looks of it. John Bailiff also trying to look to get through. Patrick Depart offline and under pressure as John tries to keep his car around the outside. Gives Patrick a shallower entry into that final turn, which is going to ruin his run onto this main straight. You'll assume that John is going to have the run now, but he actually doesn't. Patrick somehow got a better run out of there. Don't know how he did that. Did Andre Marek have the quickest stop in the end? Ooh, John Bailiff had to change his mind there as Patrick went to have a look at Austin Farr. I think Andre Marek did. We're not including the 1.6 and the 0.1 from Weisswanger and Lequay, because that does not look like it's registered properly. 17.7 for Dan Downing is also not a proper stop. 25.4 I see from Dan Thornton. 25.4 from Yezdal. 24.1 from Toyka looks real. But it's quite far down the order. Maybe he's fuel saving, I'm not sure. But Majorek up in P9 from 30th place earlier. Good job. And I wonder if it stops here or does he keep going? You've got 2 ORD cars back up into the top 10. Dan Thornton still in 14th place. With Alejandro Caraday, he has got, I don't want to call him a rival, more of a hitman. That's a double level joke for you. Duncan Murray the hitman. Keep that one. Give him that nickname. He's going to love that. From South Africa. He's got a lovely sticker on the back of his car, as Duncan. Andy Geschwind can catch him up. We'll have a nice little look at it as Morse and Cranston are fighting again into turn 1. It's lap 15 of 18 now. 3 laps to go. Morse around the outside of Cranston for like the 3rd or 4th time into turn 1. I don't think he's got the run to turn 3 this time. He's been further ahead than this and Jake's kept it. But can he do it again? He's on the inside. Ooh, and it's the same scenario, but Joshua Germany is looking closer than ever to try and take advantage of this. But I also think he's smart enough to sit behind and sort of just wait for the actual gap to present itself. Jerry Agard in P4 is having a blinding race as well. Austin Farr P5. Patrick Dupart and Andy Fox side by side. I think that Fox has just lost 2 positions. Patrick and John come through up into P6 and 7. Andre Majorek then next up to try and chase down Andy Fox. Matt Sanderson in P10 is having a good race here. Corpus in P11 is having a strong race for Lurchus Gaming. Ruslan for ZFG up in P12. Caraday for PRG in P13 and Dan Thornton for ORD in P14. To have 3 cars in the top 14 is going to be insane as they approach the what lap are we on? It's going to be lap 16 I think when they cross the line. Stephen King has jumped to the pits. Timu Toyka has gone off track, so we've missed something. Let's have a look at what we can see. Carl Ridley and Stephen King then. Bit of a touch there and Stephen King just throws it in the wall. Timu Toyka went off track. What did he do? Is this just a drift? Just outbroke himself. Into turn 1. I think Timu pitted twice because he got meatballed twice. That's why his second stop was so quick. Sam Van Aals past Jan Weiswanger for P26 here, I think, down the inside of turn 5. I think we got live footage here of Stephen King in the pit garage. Yeah, not a happy bunny, indeed. Drives into the wall. Very angry in the garage. Anyway, continuing on, Henry Morse and Jake Cranston are still side by side down towards turn 1 on lap 16. Henry Morse is going to try again. Oh, it looked like he had an edge there as he broke round the outside of Cranston into turn 1. But he just can't get the run on the exit there. He's got the outside line. He just can't get enough of his car alongside into turn 3 to take advantage and put Jake under pressure through there. It's so tough up here. It is tough. Big quota. Austin Farr has passed Jerry Agard though around the outside of turn 5. Oh, he was already ahead. And there we go. He's up into P4. Jerry Agard though still a top 5 as Matt Sanderson and no, that was Ruslan passing Corpus round the outside of turn 5 down the inside of 6. That was a great move from the UAE driver, in fairness. Much better than his one where he just got a simple switchback on someone who ran wide. I don't really want to watch these two because Duncan Murray and Dan Thornton have already in 2 races come together too much. And Duncan Murray is once again all over the rear of Dan Thornton and hits him there. That would have been a 4X. Sounded like a hard hit. Henry Morse trying again, is this? I'm sure I got told that Henry was close to the incident limit, but he's not driving like it, that's for sure. As Ruslan and Corpus are still fighting. Bailiff and Depart are fighting also. Geschwind, oh no. Dan Thornton losing positions. Oh, and goodbye, Duncan Murray. there he goes. Not sure what happened there. Let's see if we can have a replay. Oh dear, and Greg Otley round again. Dan Thornton tries saving it. Oh, he spins the other way and he's in the wall. Dan Thornton, after having a brilliant race so far, drops down to P20. Let's see if we can see where this all started. I think it started before this. Just caught it then. Let's see if we can find that again. So let's stay with Dan Thornton then from this point. So he's got Caraday ahead of him. Trying to find his way through. So it's down the end of the main straight from here. Morgan Burkhard is back out on track, in fairness to him. After disappearing. So we've already seen that was Henry Morse and Jake Cranston going side by side. Ruslan is defending the inside hard there. Dan Thornton is quite a ways back, to be fair. Oh, tries to avoid hitting him. You can see that he was trying, and now he's trying to give the position back. He does give the position back. And now Duncan Ray is on his inside. And, yeah. And there we have it. Duncan Ray gets pit round into the grass. And then there was more contact up here, I think. It's Greg Otley down the inside of Dan Thornton. Kieran Dempsey avoids it nicely. And there's Ezekiel Okway going off by himself. Dan bounces out of the wall. Duncan Murray saying lucky 5 seconds for that. No, 5 seconds is fair. 10 seconds would have been harsh. 10 seconds is for blatant negligence of where a car is on a straight, for example. Anyway, Austin Farr and Jerry Agard still fighting it out here. Sam Van Alst and Dan Thornton now battling down back where we were. And I think Dan will definitely be frustrated now after being so high up and would have lost his head. Yes, Duncan, I gave you 10. I just explained why. Henry Morse then trying once again around the outside of turn 1. This is the last lap. And he does get that little edge again. But just can't find his way through. Henry Morse and Cranston have been pretty much side by side since the pit lane phase, the pit stop phase. This has been insane. Bounces over the curb. That's slightly annoying. He looked like he could have done it there. Austin Farr nearly on the gravel. John Bailiff trying to take advantage. That is Patrick Depart and Agard and Mayerek in P8. Anderson in P9 and Fox in P10. The top 10 very close together. As we're coming round to the final section now. We're on our last lap. Jake Cranston then, two-time champion and current championship leader, leading the way home in this feature race for race 4. Round 2 out of 7. Henry Morse, P2, right behind him. Joshua Germany in P3. Doesn't look to be under threat for a podium. Henry Morse moves to the right-hand side. I don't know if that was to try and put pressure on him or he's just throwing away his chance. But there he is then. Tries to get a better exit out the corner. They all move to the right-hand side. Drake? Oh no, that's been a while for that one. Jake Cranston wiggles across the line then and wins for race 4 at Summit Point Raceway. Henry Morse brings it home in P2 with Joshua Germany P3, Austin Farr P4, John Bailiff P5 and Patrick Depart in P6. Caraday and Ridley are going to cross the line side by side by the looks of it. 52 thousandths between them, half a tenth of a second. Joseph Gibson up in P21. Much better than a 34th place from earlier. Greg Otley ends up down in P25 after the contact with Dan Thornton, who is going to bring it home in P27. He will be very, very frustrated with that after being so high up. Timu Toika then. This is a bad day for Pulsus. P29 and P33 for Stephen King. That might just be the worst Pulsus result in Jetta Cup history. Ironically, with Joshua Germany up in P3. But this man, Jake Cranston and Jerry Agard, 2 Masters of Torque cars in the top 10. It's a shame we didn't see Donnie Henriksen today, and I hope we see Donnie Henriksen return. Donnie Henriksen is the other driver I was trying to think of earlier. Donnie Henriksen not here from work commitments, but hopefully they can get sorted before the season end. Look at that, Ruslan with a P11 after having so many races down the order. Let's go through the results then, and the current championship standings after penalties have been applied from today's races. There we go. Let's go for our slow motion shots like we used to. That's what I was trying to do. Sorry, guys. Anyway, right. Jake Cranston then, your winner of race 4 out of 14. Does that make it? Has he won 3 times? 3 out of 4 races? I'm losing. I need to do my win stats. I haven't done them in a while. Henry Morse, P2. Joshua Germany, P3. Far, Bailiff, Depart, Agard, Mayerek, Anderson, and Fox round off your top 10. Kamadalin, Corpus, Schwind up in P13. On his debut season. P11 and P13, so a good race result from the Zero Forks Giving car and the Street Casuals car. Caraday P14, Ridley, Dempsey, Gyezdal and Burns. Gyezdal up there on his debut as well in P17. Absolutely cracking job. Next up, we have Burns, LeQuay, Wallace and Gibson, Van Olst, Weiswanger, Thon, Otley, Amundere, Thornton, Downing, Toyka, Manitval, Burkhardt, Murray, King and Rutten. Missing 2 drivers from the grid, Seb Holmichael, who was ill, and Donnie Henriksen from work commitments. Let's go to not the drone cam because it doesn't show much. Blimp cam will do. And let's have a look at your championship standings. So first of all then, your team standings. Shall we have a look at the old team? No. I'm changing my mind. Let's do the drivers first. So this is what it looked like before. This was after round 1. And this is what it looks like after round 2 and after penalties are applied. Jake Cranston then still leads the way with John Bailiff in P2 and Austin Farr P3. So no change in your top 3, but a 47 point lead for Jake Cranston already is an ominous sign for the championship, unless he has an absolute nightmare at one of these rounds. Could it happen at Canadian Tire next time out? For those of you that haven't seen the calendar, you can have a quick flash of it now. There it is. Cranston and Burkhardt win race 1 and 2 at Media Day, but no points are on offer. Cranston and Farr win at Barber Motorsports Park. Burkhardt and Cranston win at Summit Point Raceway. So 2 out of 4 points race wins for Jake Cranston. Austin Farr and Burkhardt, your only other race winners so far this season. So 3 race winners out of 4 races. Canadian Tire next week. So make sure you join us for that. Then we head to Virginia International Raceway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta and Willow Springs, 4 weeks in a row after the October break. Anyway, all change in the order further down as we see Henry Morse jump up 8 positions up into P4 in the championship. Josh Germany jumps up 4. Andre Marek jumps up 7. Patrick Depart goes up 1. Stephen King goes down 4 positions after his first result in a very long time. Carl Ridley drops down 2, even on points in the Drivers' Championship. Don't know what you're talking about, Andre. Didn't spot what you just said. Oh, look at Martin Wallace spinning off. What a distraction. Matt Sanderson up 4 places then with 118 points. Jumps Stephen Burns, who does not move in the championship standings. Jumps him by 3 points. Kieran Dempsey goes down 2. Andy Fox is up 5. Timu Toika is up 3 after his nearly race win. He's got P2. Dan Downing and Eric Mannenfeld both drop 10 positions in the drivers' standings. That's insane. Down 2 for Van Olst and Corpus as well. And the rest of your order is as follows. Jerry Agard doesn't show he's made any gains, but technically he jumps up from 35th to 19th on his first race because he didn't race in round 1, so he went from 0 points to 74 points. Jumps everyone you see underneath him. Martin Wallace is up 3 places after what he probably thinks is a really bad round, but he has jumped up the order with 67 points. Andy Geschwin jumps up 3 places, with Jesus Mundere and Greg Otley dropping 3 places each as well. Gjesdal and Karaday go up 3. Loic Thon drops 1. Ruslan jumps up 5. Gibson and Thornton both go up 1 position in the standings, equal on points. Ike Lequay drops 4. Tim Rutten drops 4. Jan Weiswanger down 1. Murray goes up 1 into 33rd place, with Sebastian Holmichael dropping 12 positions and Donny Henriksen dropping 2 after their non-show today. Now, that leaves us with your team's championship. This is what it looked like last time out. And here is your updated version then. Your team's championship is as follows. Win It or Bin It are still leading the way, but by only 23 points. Street Casuals jump up into P2 in the standings with 397 points. 23 points is not a lot of points, and Street Casuals are in a very strong position to take this team's championship this season. Pulsars drop down to P3, but only 6 points back. ORD jump up into P4 with 334 points. They have entered the top 4 fight. Send It and Bend It have dropped 2 places. Down into P5. Masters of Talk up 1 with Jerry Agard's return. 305 points for them. Goldwing Motorsport drop down behind them with 232 points. Viking Raiders and Lurchus Gaming stay where they are. Zero Forks Giving and Parallel Racing Group both move up a position, passing Meatball Motorsport after they were a driver down today. Very close between ZFG and Parallel Racing Group. 5 points in it. So, those are your team standings and your driver's standings. That's pretty much where we're at. Round 2 of 7 complete. Races 3 and 4 done. Glad you enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you come back next week. Same time, every Friday, apart from the week of the 16th of October. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is next. A driver favourite. We've been there in the touring cars. Not sure we've been there in the Jettas. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It is a Henry Morse hunting ground, if I remember rightly, but I also think Jake Cranston is fairly strong there. Let's see what happens. If I don't see you on track this week, I'll see you next week for the next video here on The Racing Line. Peace.